How's it going, everyone? My name is Alex Sternencourt, and this is...
My name is Nathan Hamlin.
Yeah, this is my buddy, and we're going to be interviewing him today in our podcast. We got a, special audience here. So today's topic is going to be about pleasure activism. Now, let me explain what pleasure activism is. It's basically the opposite of oppression. You want to enjoy yourself as much as you can without harming others around you or yourself. Things besides addiction, besides too much autonomy. It's similar
Autonomy.
it's similar to anarchy. Now, Nathan, what would your ideal situation in a school be like, for example?
Yeah, school.
Yeah,
Um,
classroom.
for example, here at Marina Valley College, it's a great example. Like compared to high school, we can just it's very chill and relaxed. We can do a lot of things that we normally just won't even dream of in high school. Like, for example, where we're recording this podcast right now, we walked all the way up into the mountains just to record this.
Yeah,
We would never be able to do that anywhere else.
like we can't just walk out of school up the mountain whenever we want. It's different.
Also feeling really comfortable in classes to where you can just also walk out anytime you need to. That's also really good. Like, you don't have to worry about everybody giving you so much issues for just everything like that.
Yeah, you don't gotta ask to go to the bathroom no more. You don't gotta ask to get up to go get water. I mean, you're an adult. You got more freedom to do stuff. What's your ideal situation in the classroom itself? Like, do you want groups of people, projects, or stuff like that? How would you like a classroom set up?
It doesn't really matter how it's set up. I'm really laid back when it comes to inside the classroom, as long as I'm actually getting taught things, and everybody's getting along, and they're all. One thing I would like if there's also moments where people aren't really talking too much, because I don't like too much sounds going on.
Yeah.
Maybe everybody's quiet doing their work together while music's playing in the background.
Exactly.
And group projects, that could also be for any sort of thing. I don't mind working with groups as long as I get to choose who I want to work with.
That's a very good insight you added on there. Everyone likes different preferences though, and we still gotta accompany everyone's preference into one if we want a society based on pleasure.
Yeah.
That could be a bit difficult, so sometimes we have to add on some order to satisfy everyone's needs. But what society is doing right now is they have too much order. They're kind of making societal norms based on oppression, old theories of ideas like people of color. They're a lot more oppressed than white people like myself, and there's just so many things, benefits that white people have over another race. And like I said before, the opposite of oppression is pleasure, and we need to implement that. So Nathan, what do you think the average person would prefer? Oppression or order?
Average person would obviously prefer order. I don't think anybody would enjoy being oppressed.
Exactly. I don't think oppression should be.
There's one thing though I've noticed when it comes to pleasure activism and everything, trying to take into account everybody's pleasures and wants and needs and stuff like that. However, no two people are the same.
Right.
Everybody's gonna keep having their own wants, their own needs. In a classroom, we'll go back to that example. There could be 29 students that, for the most part, agree on one thing, but also there would be that one student that doesn't agree.
Exactly. Yeah. Which also plays in part with democracy. I would compare it to an authoritarian version of democracy versus an anarchic version of democracy. An authoritarian version. Oh, there's people on the mountain. That's cool. And a bird. So,
Lots of birds
yeah.
and snakes.
Yeah, you know, the anarchy version. I think you have more freedom movement. You get a vote overall as a people. There's no centralized person, and you kind of get freedom to do what you want as an individual instead of versus a authoritarian version of it where there's one centralized person who you vote on, and then he will decide for you.
Yeah, and also for pleasure and everything, gotta make sure it doesn't negatively affect anybody else.
Exactly.
That's when it actually is good.
We'll get in that in a second. I want to say a lot of things about that.
Can't do that.
Like I said, compared to the authoritarian version, one person speaks on behalf of everyone, which is basically oppression, versus anarchy, the anarchic version, where everyone speaks for themselves. The people get to speak for what they want. Now, let's get on the topic of what Nathan was talking about. How it can harm other people and people around you. Nathan,
Is that a bunny? No, it's a squirrel.
That squirrel's huge, dude. It's like that big.
Hey, hold on. Let's like turn the.
Look
It's
at
on that rock over there.
Yeah.
Anyways, off topic.
Oh,
We're
sorry.
back. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, have you ever sorry to get into your business, but have you ever experienced pleasure so much to where it kind of hurt you in a way? It could be like drinking alcohol, sex, maybe drugs. I know you don't, but
Don't do any of the above.
yeah,
I think an example for that could be probably, for example, video games.
video games. Yeah,
Like for example, it obviously improves the mood of anybody who plays it, giving lots of chemicals to the brain and everything, serotonin and all that. But if you end up playing for way too long, let's say you get on the game at like 6 in the morning and you get off at 11 at night.
right.
Gaming the entire day, you're not moving around, you're not drinking water, you're not getting food, you're not doing everything else that you need to do and other pleasures to where eventually even video games becomes draining for you and it's not even pleasurable anymore.
That is true. It becomes almost like a job in a way. It's like you're on Twitch, which is a streaming app. They see it as a job now. Don't ever make anything fun that you enjoy doing for your everyday life as your job. People can say like, "Oh, you never have to work a day in your life," but again, that turns into a job, and then you'll have kind of a life crisis finding out what you like because you don't like that no more. Same time, you do want to find a job you like, so you're kind of stuck in a situation, which is why I'll get to another point: work schedules. People work 9, 10 hours a day just to make a living.
And even then it could be minimum wage that they're working for too.
Yeah, you know, I think it's kind of also plays an effect of capitalism, how companies take away so much from people, which forces them to work so much overtime. It's just like everything you could fix with pleasure. And another addiction you could have is like alcoholism. People use that kind of as a coping mechanism to kind of get away from something, and they turn that into their only way of happiness, which, you know, where too much alcohol leads. I don't drink, don't worry. So let's talk about how. There's a person way up there. Do you see that?
Give me my glasses.
Alright, hold on. Give me 1 second, guys. Oh, he's getting off the rock.
Yeah.
Looks like Lion King for a second.
Probably threw a mountain lion off.
No, that's bad. Okay, so, we also got to be productive in society if we want to, pleasure in for our whole society because some people can be selfish and they could think that their version of pleasure is all about them. You stop caring for people in a way. I've kind of done some research according to it was a Brinkley website. They're talking about how once someone finds pleasure in themselves, they kind of block out other people, and it might start to go into.
That could go two ways. They could end up blocking out other people, or it could improve the joy and just happiness they get when they're around other people. It can go either way.
That one too, but is there going to be a way to stop people from pleasure activism, because pleasure means freedom, and if you do choose to go down an addictive route, there's nothing to stop you, so that means there would be more cases of bad addictions, so I want you to give me a picture of your best society in general for pleasure.
For pleasure,
like how much hours would you want to work?
How much hours would I want to work for? Like how much amount of money?
Say a lot of money.
We'll say minimum wage, for example. Could be like 9 to 10 hours for the minimum wage. Probably like 5 hours, 6 hours. That would sound reasonable for minimum wage. Obviously for jobs that give you a lot more money, 9 to 10 hours would sound even more reasonable. Because you want more money, you gotta work more.
Say you were given a house. Say you were given a place to live. How much would you want to work? Like to at least get out the house, do something.
Well, yeah, like to just go out, have fun.
Fun at work?
I'd my own house and like my own family too and everything. Then probably like 7 to 9 hours, because I know I'd have to provide for myself and my family. But I wouldn't want to like overload myself to where I have no time to hang out with them, or just no alone time in general either.
So you want? Oh, you're playing. Okay, I know what they're playing. All right. So basically, you want a thing where you still want to work, but at the same time, you still want you still want time to spend with your family and stuff.
Yeah, and alone time, and just time to de-stress, because working all the time, and not just work, but also just life in general. A bunch of random stuff always pops up. Everybody needs their own alone time to de-stress and just chill out.
Yeah, you gotta have a good work-life balance if you wanna.
Yeah.
And I think oppression plays partly into that. And what about, let's see, what about school? How much hours would you want to go to school? Do you want to go to school?
I like how college does it, where you choose your hours and how much classes you're gonna take, compared to, let's say, high school. I'm gonna go back to that. There were times where I was in class for way longer than I should have, where whatever the teacher was teaching was done within like the first 15 to 20 minutes of class. The rest of the class, we did nothing but sit there. And that's just a waste of time.
It's terrible.
Like, having wasted time is the most annoying thing, at least to me personally.
I mean, maybe they'll put on a movie or something, but if they're evil teachers...
Yeah, no movies would be played.
Yeah.
Sadly, except once. I think it was a Pinocchio movie, oddly enough.
Pinocchio, wow.
I don't know, yeah. Anyways, we've been talking about me a lot. You get some examples now.
Okay. I want to work for like 4 hours, 3 hours, I hate work. I hate customer service, and I hate people. I want to be in my room. I want to also get out my room. Sometimes I'm like, I don't want to talk to people right now. And then, like, the next hour I'm like, where's Nathan? I need to hit him up. Like, last night after school I went over and we all watched a movie.
Yeah, we watched a bunch of scary movies and everything like that.
Yeah. I like the first movie. Jeffrey Dahmer was kind of... But yeah, I want to go out with friends often, but I want a scheduled event. So I want like 2 hours to myself. So as are my friends, and then the rest of it working on myself, which also plays into relationships. Um, in a in a relationship, you want
You drop something.
oh, thank you. In a relationship, you want time to yourself first. You want to learn yourself first before you go full in depth into learning about another person. You know, there's some people with like terrible personalities too, like manipulation and all that.
Yeah, it's good to like tread the waters carefully with all that
Yeah,
before diving all in.
learn yourself first. Teach yourself some new skills, and don't change yourself though. That's a big thing. And your partner should do the same too. They can't just be like, oh, you're fixing yourself, good, I'm waiting for you. No, they need to be fixing themselves too.
Yeah, I completely agree. It needs to be a two-way street,
Two-way street, no.
never a one-way street, because that just ends up dissolving everything very quickly.
Yeah, not just a mirror. Yeah.
Oh. So what do you end up thinking about how like different races end up having pleasure activism and everything like that?
I think, like I said, people of color are oppressed because societal norms, like things like sex, freedom of doing that, freedom of going where you want, going without being judged, things like that. They're kind of burdened in a place, and that's a cute dog over there.
Stop getting
They're-
sidetracked.
Burdened in a place to kind of where they feel trapped, they feel they don't belong because of systematic racism, I believe.
And would you say males or females end up experiencing either more oppression or more pleasure activism?
That's a good question, actually. I think males are restricted, but not as judged as much as females. Females are judged a lot, things like slut shaming. You can't go out with this boy because you'll be called a slut, or you can't do certain things. You can't close or open the door when you're here because of trust and all that. But I think with pleasure activism, there needs to be a lot of trust in people. There needs to be a lot more communal trust. I don't think there should be things like slut shaming or name calling, things like that, because that could lead to depression and all that, and it's wrong of you to do that. What do you think about this, Nathan? Do you think guys or girls? Because I think it's kind of a mixed opinion, but I think girls are more oppressed. What do you think?
I feel like guys would be
Guys?
more oppressed than girls are.
I'd like to hear your reasoning.
Because let's say for example, I'm gonna use an example from like one example from a high school and one example from a courtroom.
Mm-hmm.
In courtrooms, for males and females that have the same exact crime, let's say they're both like a white male and a white female.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they both did the exact same crime. Statistically, the female is far more likely to get a lesser sentence
All right.
than the male. And
Mhm.
for high school, yeah, what you said about slut shaming, everything like that, does apply,
Mm-hmm.
especially in high school and just schools in general.
Mm-hmm.
But also, teachers would be. This is what I've witnessed.
Hey.
This is what I've witnessed myself in schools and the classrooms I've been in. Teachers would side very easily with everything that females would say,
Mm-hmm.
where males would be for the most part ignored. That's what
Yeah.
I've just seen myself. So I don't know what you've seen or anybody else has.
I think both sides are oppressed in different ways. I think certain groups are more oppressed than others. I think certain groups get more privileges than others. So it's just what we need to act on, But yeah, that's all we have for today. Sorry
Yep.
about making it 20 minutes, but we had a lot
Before we
to
end
talk
up ending
about.
it,
Yeah.
Gotta show you this view though.
Heck yeah. You guys should have done this instead of your classrooms. All right. Thank you. I'll see you next presentation, and goodbye.